Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, today we're going to be taking another look at the Condottieri. Obviously it's been quite a while now since we've actually had Season 3. Season 3 was quite a long time ago, and I loved the Condottieri then, and I still use them now. And I just kind of wanted to touch on them again to sort of say that they are still a very much relevant unit. Even though we now have the azaps, they haven't really replaced the Condottieri in my opinion, because these guys are still really very good. Obviously they got a little bit of a nerf, or perhaps not even a nerf really, because they got a leadership cost reduction as well, but a change at the start of the season, which effectively removed their ability to push enemy heroes around. Because it used to be a very annoying feature where you used to just get knocked and pushed all over the place, sometimes off the wall, by these guys, and it was very hard to deal with as a hero. So they've removed that. Even though they still cause a little bit of stun, they don't cause the same sort of level of pushback now. But in turn, they got taken from 185 to 170 leadership. So you have to remember from this that this is, a 3-star unit at only 170 leadership. They really don't cost much. But their damage potential is just super high. And it all obviously revolves around their shock attack. It's like similar to the Prefecture Guards, Prefecture Drill, but it's just a lot more damaging and it's a lot more effective. And it has a super short cooldown. I mean, by the time it's ended, it's like 10 seconds and you can activate it again. I mean, it's realistic to use it twice in a fight. And these guys just really overwhelm so much stuff. They do get countered by some things, of course. If you run into the front of a Forte Braccio, you'll get slaughtered. Come up against azaps who know how to use Counter-Strike, then yes, you will also be losing, because the azaps will beat these guys. But in other situations, these guys just cut through everything else, particularly light stuff. If you're getting these into a unit of archers, the unit of archers vanish in a second flat. They're truly quite an impressive unit. So, yeah, just wanted to take another bit of a look at them. Doctrine Rise, pretty standard setup. Just the two traditional sword doctrines, reduced damage and the extra block. We got a Condottieri specific doctrine with the unit challenges. You can probably still unlock that if you go back to Season 3. Could just reduce the cooldown because it wasn't quite short enough. And then I gave them some blunt stuff for their shield bash. It's kind of obviously with the fact shield bash has actually now changed slightly. Whether that would actually be worth changing from the blunt stuff, so back to a slashing doctrine could be worth thinking about. But at the time when I set this up, the shield bash was really against heroes as well as units. It was a lot more effective. So maybe worth changing or considering changing now anyway. So anyway, let's hop into a siege battle with them. See what we can find. See what we can kill. See if we can cut down some enemies with a shock attack. So here we are into battle. A minute or so into the siege. Just been messing around with cannons and stuff, and we've got some stuff trying to push up the walls. So I immediately try and get myself sort of stuck in. I've called the unit over to me. They've got to come from down the bottom of the stairs, so it takes them a few seconds to turn up. But they do move quite quickly, these Condottieri, so they're not too bad. Unfortunately, I get kidnapped by a Maul, who I can now hate on because I'm now a glaive player. But we get in there, unit, get on with that shock attack. And dealing with these pike militia and these domain pikes, we've also got a few sort of sword militia and stuff coming up, and quite a few enemy heroes, which we managed just to start to deal with, which is nice. We get down that Maul, get a revenge, and start to cut through a lot of this stuff. And before you know it, we've had 70 kills already. A lot of sort of low to mid-tier stuff coming up. But then remember, these guys only are a 3-star unit. They're only 170 leadership. So while with a lot of units, when you're fighting with maybe 250 leadership, heroic era stuff against this stuff, you think, okay, I should expect it to win. But remember, these guys are cheap. So it's amazing how quickly they can build up so many kills. And for what? 4 losses. So I was really quite pleased with that as a start. And thought, right, well, since the unit's still in pretty good condition, let's get back down to the supply point, throw them on, get them healing up, and kind of see where we're going to end up to next. Kind of see whether we're going to go back to the B point or push over to A to try and defend there. So initially, I kind of looked like A was the one that was most in threat, so that's kind of where I was thinking about going. Get myself healed up, grab my horse. Just going to leave the Condottieri on the point a little bit longer, because they've got a little bit more healing still to go. But I'm going to head over with the hero myself. Kind of waiting to see what's going to be there. Looks like there's a fair bit of stuff pushing up those siege towers, starting to threaten that A point. Call the unit over as I start to head up. And then we're waiting to see what's there. Actually, quite a bit of stuff. I was kind of surprised there was so much here. Actually became a bit nervous, thought I was going to get a little bit overwhelmed here if I'm not careful. Shame I couldn't quite get the kill on that hero there. Just pull down here while the unit's turning up. Seemed to be like quite a bit of stuff starting to stack up, so I thought that was going to kind of be a problem for me. Keep pushing up, and then we've got these friendly shields turned up, a little bit more support turning up to think, right, okay, now's probably the time to get stuck in a little bit more. Let's go. Let's try and drive them off the wall. Stick them straight on the charge. Come on, Condottieri. Let's go. That poor Maul, and it's the same Maul who kidnapped me earlier, so it's a double kill now. And he just got absolutely hit by the charge. And the charge isn't too bad. Gets kills quite easily. Obviously, as soon as the charge is over, I'm straight on with that shock attack, trying to get that damage in there. You are now probably being deafened by the church bells, but they're going to run for the next few hours, so you'll have to just get used to it in this video. So we're continuing to fight for the A point now, trying to clear everything back off. So shock attack is now off cooldown. So you can see how quickly that cooldown is. I was just deciding what I wanted to do here. I think, yes, it probably is worth pushing into these javelins. We don't know if the enemy hero is still alive or not. Go in, as soon as the enemy friendly heroes push up and break that formation, the Condottieri just get in and really cut through them. And we're starting to have killed quite a bit of stuff now, both in quantity and in quality. We've killed some reasonably decent units, particularly been fighting along the top of these sections of the wall. And, you know, we still took, what, another 2 losses. So we're down to 6 total dead. Still got a pretty decent stack of unit. So I decided to throw them back on the supply point. Just give them, you know, a 30 seconds heal, something like that. While we've got this little brief respite, it seems, on the push on A. You know, might as well take advantage of what I can. Gives me a chance to heal up a little bit as well. And kind of the enemy to reform and make another push. So it seems like we were kind of actually pushing fairly hard with our own fortibrachos, which kind of makes things sort of a little bit easier for them. Although I'm sort of milling around waiting to decide what to do. Call the unit back up, obviously, to try and see kind of what's going on. But we're actually doing a fairly decent job of pushing them off anyway. There wasn't actually that much to clear on the wall, and I didn't necessarily want to get stuck into the sort of the tighter confines of the actual fighting on the siege tower. I also thought there was a good chance that those fortibrachos here were going to get trapped in a minute. So I was kind of umming and ahhing a little bit. Eventually, I decided it's not worth the wait. Come on, let's just go for it. Push straight into the siege tower, try and get down, and of course, Condottieri, not disappointing, just butchering absolutely everything in the way. Push through the enemy units and onto the archers, which we just cut down pretty well with ease. And keep nudging these enemy heroes back, to the point where I'd gone far enough down and we were just sort of being clipped by some of the enemy range. So I thought, right, sod this, let's make a run for it. Try and get back to safety. And actually, the vast majority of the unit, actually all the unit, we didn't take any losses, make it back up the siege tower. So we just charged down the siege tower, pushed back 3 enemy heroes, got a load of kills, and we didn't really take any consequences for that. It shows how strong this unit can be when it's in its shock attack mode. So calling the unit over, there's a few people obviously threatening B, but they get pretty well cut down by these horse archers. And then saw the azaps pushing down here. I was going to go to the supply point, but instead I thought, well, since these guys are retreating, let's go and have a look, see if we can have a go in these azaps. See if there's any bit of an opportunity here. And this probably was a mistake. I should have just pulled back down and got to the supply point, really. But we managed to get away with it. What's left of these azaps, they're not a full enough strength unit for it to be a problem for us. And as our unit turns up, even though they go on for their counterattacks, they only counterattack frontally. And when it's 2 or 3 to 1 in terms of unit ratio, an azap might counterattack the unit from the front, but it doesn't block the the stab from the back. So those azaps go down really quite quickly and don't actually pose much of a threat because we just so heavily outnumber them. And combine that with our hero being there, slashing around with the glaive of it as well, all helps tip it in our favour. So I was beginning to think that looking pretty decent this battle for us. It seems unlikely that we're probably going to lose at this point. We're so far ahead. A little bit of fighting going on at the supply point, but not really all that much there by the time I get there. Everything's pretty well died. Do need to get the unit healing up a little bit now, though, because we've taken quite a few losses. And, yeah, starting to stack up quite badly against us. So, still healing on the supply. Let's kind of just wait to see for them to heal up a little bit. And I was kind of thinking about where I'm going to want to go next. We haven't got that long left on the battle, and it seems the enemy team are struggling to take A or B point. So, I started to think about getting a little bit more aggressive. I didn't think we were going to end up losing this, so I was sort of starting to think, well, okay, where else can we get some more kills? I saw a few little units. I thought there were archers moving up to one of the towers above the B point to try and shoot down on the B point. So that's kind of what I was thinking in terms of trying to find my target, trying to shift up the stairs here. I was waiting for the unit to sort of catch up because it all sort of fanned out into a line. It's kind of annoying when all units seem to do that slightly. These spearmen, pikemen were coming along. I didn't know if they were pike militia or Imperial Pike Guard. You can guess which one they turned out to be. It's safe to say I chose poorly. Yes, unfortunately we basically ran into these Imperial Pike Guard. Obviously huge amounts of knockdown, starting to rack up quite a bit of damage on what is effectively a fairly lightly armoured sword unit. I then get 4 heroes on me, including rage as well, and yeah, it goes about the way you would expect. Unfortunately, get myself overwhelmed and get myself killed. But all in all, still a really enjoyable game. And that sums up my feelings on the unit. It's still a very dominant unit in the current meta. Yes, the azaps have changed things slightly, and the azaps themselves are very good. But ultimately, these Condottieri were very dominant in Season 3, and they still are really in Season 4. And to be honest, I think the nerf at the start to the hero pushing, it kind of makes sense, but I don't think they really needed the leadership reduction. Remember, these are only 170 leadership, and you get quite a lot of bang for your buck. So I think they're certainly a unit that new players should be shooting for. And obviously, they're one of the first challenges you can do on Season 3. So anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe to the channel for a lot more Conqueror's Blade content. Thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.